Jefferson's Ocean. I had to look at it. We have one, Jefferson's Reserve.
Yeah,
This is
same
Jefferson's
people.
Ocean. Same people. This is Jefferson's Ocean. It's aged at sea. And it's a very small batch.
Yeah, very, very small. It's a technical term.
Smells delightful, Danny.
It's a very cool bourbon. It's one that I kind of wanted to laugh at for a long time, and I did. It's quite expensive, and their shtick is they're just taking what Jefferson's Reserve, as far as I know, they're just putting it into barrels, putting it on a ship, sending it out into the sea, and it comes back double the price.
Okay, so this is Jefferson's Reserve.
That was what my impression was online. Although they do different batches, so they'll do like a weeded one, and that's not Jefferson's Reserve because it's not a weeded bourbon, but I think it's what's going into Jefferson's Reserve.
They do different batches, or they do different voyages?
Yeah, they call them voyages, which is a bit much, but is a part of the aesthetic of the bourbon, which is
the lore.
The lore, yeah. It smells great. I mean, to me, this is just a really nice. It's not super heavy, desserty, but it's one of those sweeter bourbons for sure. I get the caramel and vanilla mostly, but there is a little bit of ginger in there, which is really nice.
So is it sharp in that way?
It's sharper, yeah. I mean, anytime you get caramel vanilla, I end up relating it to like Angel's Envy and Woodford Double Oaked, but those are so heavy, you know.
Right.
This is somewhere in it, but the ginger, yeah, it does kind of sharpen it up. All right. So this is kind of a, like I said, I laugh anytime I talk about this one because it is kind of ridiculous. This is Voyage number 23, so it's their 23rd batch. If you go on, I like to use Distiller on the app on my phone to check out reviews and stuff. It's one of the higher rated voyages, which is nice. Some of them do pretty poorly, so there have been some stinkers, it seems. And so it kind of has a reputation. The first voyage was very, very good. And the kind of, what I found, the rumors are kind of like that they took some really, really nice bourbon and did it the first time, and then the quality dropped. So whether they didn't have access to a similar kind of bourbon or they were trying to cheap out, they're selling it for the same price though. So that kind of drove some people away, but they've kind of clawed back. And if you look at the voyages, they tend to trend upward in quality for sure.
So they're taking their barreled bourbon, putting it on a freighter or in a container on a freighter.
The picture I saw, there's barrels, they are just out in the open. Okay. And they're kind of like strapped down, and there's big signs that say, don't you dare open this, because you can't sell it then. So yeah, it's the normal Jefferson's Reserve. They age that 6 to 8 years on land. And then this voyage left Savannah, Georgia. So this is batch 23. It left Savannah, Georgia, and it was gone from May to September. So it kind of went from that gimmick of all they were doing was putting on a ship and see what would happen.
Yeah.
And it turned into, I mean, I think after trying it the other day, I think it's actually kind of turned into a pretty strong like niche product.
Niche or niche?
Niche. I don't know. It changes the more you drink. So let's have a taste. It's a lot of fun one.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I get a little like pepper out of that more than a lot of the other bourbons we've tried.
Every single episode. I'm turning into a bourbon drinker.
I know you are. You were really excited. I told you were going to like this one.
This is way better. I shouldn't say way better. I like it better than Elijah Craig.
Yeah. I think I do too. This is one that if it was cheaper, I'd be buying quite a bit of.
Elijah Craig's price point?
Oh yeah. I think you'd just sell tons of this. So it's really funny when you go on their website too. They're really all out on this gimmick, which is kind of cool because they're very committed to it. But you can follow, they do pretty extensive notes for, I guess, what they are, captain's notes about the voyage. So like I wrote down some of it. I'm not going to read through the whole thing because they get very, very specific. Like they're talking about the ports they're stopping at, the sea conditions each day, the weather, the temperature, and the different routes they're taking for different reasons. But yeah, so like an example of the notes they're doing are like, okay, we left at high noon to clear seas, warm temps, and slight seas. There was light traffic in the shipping lane going through Panama, so they got through in 6 hours. and they entered the Pacific Ocean days ahead of schedule. It was calm all the way to Tahiti after they crossed the equator. It's just, they're just, I mean, it goes on and on.
And they did it all without running into the dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, that's true. We'd hate for him to get all this delicious bourbon.
This is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It is a little bit of that brininess too. So like it's like the briny taste you can get in a Scotch sometimes is there.
I do get that brine.
Which I'm kind of excited for because I want to get more into Scotch. I'm sure we'll end up doing some Scotches on here eventually. And that is kind of the part that always scares me away. So this is a smaller dose of brininess than going straight into a Scotch. But yeah, it's got a really nice mouthfeel. It's not super thin. It's not overbearing. And it's got all those like classic flavors aside from that pepperiness that you kind of get in a rye. That's that vanilla, caramel, burnt sugar. I also get a lot of like apple and butter almost on the finish.
So the butter, I was looking. There was something I caught there that I couldn't quite put my finger on, and I think it's the butter.
I don't know where that comes from, but I feel like that really rounds out that Kentucky hug, the burniness you get from it.
Yeah, this is delightful.
It's like buttery smooth.
It is buttery smooth.
And this is probably one of my favorite finishes on a bourbon. I think Weller is still number one. Barrel Seagrass, even though it's a rye, probably number two. But this, for me, it just fades really, really nicely. It doesn't disappear quickly. It's not overbearing. And it stretches out like that apple butteriness.
Yeah. It's delightful.
Yeah. This is one that I would just... This is a pint. We'd probably finish this if we were just hanging out one night.
Jeez,
I wouldn't
maybe.
stop.
Maybe. It is
Well,
good.
2
I'm
or 3
getting more
people.
into it.
Yeah.
It's very good. I'm not mixing this.
I bet it would be good in Coke though. Maybe a Diet Coke Zero.
Hey man, I'm trying to Diet Coke Zero. Yeah, now that sounds good. But I'm telling you, the more and more we do this, Dan, the more and more I can find myself being, that guy that's like, if it's not 90 proof or higher, I'm not drinking it.
Yeah, I think this one is 90 proof. I forgot to write that down. Yeah, it's exactly 90 proof. This is kind of a perfect bourbon for me. And like I said, my main sticking point is that price. Like, stick it on a ship and it comes back double the price, and it's a tough one to spend all the time. It's so nice that I want it to be more affordable, but I think it's definitely worth grabbing.
It's a treat bourbon.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a nice gift for someone.
Mm-hmm.
I would just recommend people. I mean, look up the voyages and make sure you got the notes on the one you're having, because they do. Like I said, there's been some stinkers and been some almost perfect scores on distillers. So that's just aggregated of what people think. So that's interesting to get like a crowd's review.
A crowdsourced review.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. I like it a lot. You have anything else in your notes there, brother?
I don't know.
I want to wrap this up by saying, please drop a comment down there, up there, wherever you're watching this or listening to it at. We want to know what you want us to try. Dan alluded to maybe we're going to do some scotches in the future for sure. Irish whiskeys are on the
St. Patty's Day is coming up.
Yep.
I'm looking for a showdown, something we do some blind tasting there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully at that point, they're not all tasting the same to me still. But
I think that we'll find some big differences in some of the Irish whiskeys for sure. I'm
so.
excited to do that one. We have to be patient, I think.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do it this week. So.
Well, we've got some time. But if you want us to try something on the show, please drop it in the comments. Let us know, and we'll put it out there.
Yeah, love for some recommendations.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Jefferson Motions.